It's been a minute since I've talked about the iPhone SE 2 or even the iPhone XE. Who knows what this new iPhone is going to be called. First of all, I'm not in a new setup. This is just my old desk. It's literally right next to my new desk, if you guys remember that. But I think the setup looks a lot better, which is weird because I upgraded, but I also downgraded at the same time. Who knows? But recently, a report came out of Apple making an iPhone with Touch ID in the screen instead of Face ID. And for some reason, this iPhone is going to be cheaper than the newer iPhones or even past iPhones that were released. Now, what's weird about this is that in a way, it kind of makes sense because apparently Touch ID is cheaper to produce than Face ID. So that kind of makes sense in a way. But the stranger thing is that I've also seen reports of, Apple kind of struggling in Asia. So more specifically in India, their shipments were down 42%. So it makes sense for them to almost target, a specific phone for that specific market, at least for Asia. We've all seen with China, they were having a lot of issues with them too, getting a lot of things approved and all those different things. So I think all these different reports are going to lead Apple eventually making an iPhone targeting Asia specifically, and ultimately creating a cheaper and potentially smaller iPhone as well. Now, and here's the way I see it. As you guys know, even here, iPhones are super expensive, but overseas, they're even more expensive than that, at least in the US, because of importing fees and all those different things. Apple has to make their money somehow. So purchasing an iPhone in a different country is usually more than what it is in America. And what I've seen a lot is that even like places like China or India, you can get a really good phone for a cheap price. Like you don't have to spend a lot of money to get a phone there. And I've been to Asia before and I can tell you there's phone shops everywhere. You can get a phone for $100 and I don't think people really want to spend too much money. Even here, they don't want to spend a lot of money, but we're kind of accustomed here of spending, a couple hundred or $1,000 on a phone now. But still there's phone shops in walking distance of so many places and there's just so many phones there. Even in China, a ton of phone manufacturers there, and I don't think a lot of people want to spend a ton of money going to buy an iPhone because, for a lot of people, they don't own iPhones there. And even like an iPhone XR, that is still pretty expensive in those places. And it kind of makes sense for them to release either like a refreshed iPhone SE or even a refreshed iPhone 8, which is this one, which I think is dead. But creating a refreshed model of one of these phones and selling it for a cheaper price tag would be so advantageous for Apple to do. And we've seen reports earlier of Apple creating some sort of 5.4 inch iPhone XS type of looking model. That could come as early as 2020 in March. And I'm 100% down for that. I think that's also going to happen. But I don't think they're going to release 3 different iPhones. If they're really going to create an iPhone that has Touch ID in the screen and is supposed to be cheaper and is all these different things, I don't think these are going to be 3 or 4 different devices. I think Apple is going to make one specific device and kind of tailor it to the Asian market, but they're also going to sell it in the United States. And whether that is an iPhone SE 2 or an iPhone XE or whatever they're going to call it, I think it's going to make a lot of sense. I know I'm just pulling iPhone SEs everywhere. It just ultimately makes so much sense for Apple to do it. And so I don't think they're really focusing down on specifically the US market. They're more so trying to tailor this to the Asian market so they can kind of get their share and their phone market share up in that sense. Because once somebody gets an iPhone in their hands, because of the Apple ecosystem, it just draws you in. It wants you to purchase an Apple Watch and a MacBook and an iPad and an iPod or whatever. So even if Apple sells it for a cheaper price, they're still going to make money off it one way or another, even through their services. So ultimately, this is just another iteration and another update in the strange but perplexing but super awesome iPhone SE 2 or iPhone XE that we will be getting pretty soon. I don't think that soon, probably early to say September, but I don't think it's going to come then. I think it's going to be coming at least in March of 2020. I think that's probably the latest. Maybe they'll release it sooner, but I think ultimately it makes a lot of sense for Apple to release some sort of new refreshed iPhone cheaper than the iPhone XR, but also smaller than the iPhone XR and even the iPhone XS. There's a huge market for it. I hope the 5.4 inch model does come through, which would be just in the shape of this, but just all screen, maybe with the notch, who knows, but preferably with a built-in fingerprint sensor. But man, that's pretty much it. Some crazy news. If you guys have any questions or you have anything else to say, leave it down in the comment section below. Hit that like button, that'll mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. Every single subscriber that we get really does count, so it'll mean so much if you guys could hit that. Also, check out the links in the description as well. My Twitter, my Instagram, my second channel, all those links are linked down below. I'd really appreciate if you guys could check it out. But more importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.